Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description. All right, so our next caller, we're going to do something a little bit different here. So this is not going to be a hand, but we're going to talk a little bit of poker news and I guess some live intangibles. The legendary Poker Mentor, what's up? Poker Mentor in the 562, you're up next.
What's up, Bart? How you doing?
Good. So Poker Mentor, we've had some news go on in the poker community here this week. If you guys, I don't know if you see 2+2 or you look on Twitter, on Instagram, there's this guy Rich who did a gigantic prop bet for $100,000 that he was going to be in the bathroom in the darkness for 30 days. And then we had some site controversy, too, on Crush Live Poker, where one of the Crush Live Poker subscribers bet $100 with one of the Crush Live Poker instructors that he couldn't do. Was it 50 push-ups? Something like that?
It was 50 push-ups, and it was a free roll. Rob offered G-Man
okay, free roll.
50 push-ups.
Right, not a bet, like a free roll. And there was some controversy because the guy did these push-ups, but if anybody were to look at the push-ups, like the way that the push-ups were done, people wouldn't, if I asked all the viewers, like, oh, is this a push-up? I would say that 90% of the people said, no, he's not going all the way down. It's not a push-up. But either you or this guy basically found a video of a guy completing like the push-up world record over at the Guinness Book of World Records. And I don't know if it was speed push-ups or whatever, but the person that broke the push-up record was sort of doing push-ups the way that this particular guy, G-Man, did the push-ups. So then there was this giant controversy about, well, did he win the bet or not? And the reason why I wanted you to call in is because I've come, and I've felt very, very strongly about this. Doing prop bets at the poker table on events that have any type of subjectivity is just pure nonsense. And I've seen it half a dozen times, even like in an arm wrestling contest, where somebody bets somebody else, $100 that who can win in arm wrestling, and then one of the guys loses, and the guy that loses says, "Oh, you curled your hand," or something like this, or you did something wrong. Like in this case, if this guy was here doing push-ups, if I did a prop bet and or I did a free roll and I said, "Hey, Poker Mentor, you can't do 50 push-ups," and we were here and you were in the room and you started doing these half-ass push-ups, I would say that's not a push-up. I would stop you. But this guy did a video of these half-ass push-ups and then went to support the fact that he was doing push-ups by the Guinness Book of World Records definition of a push-up, when that's not any real person's definition of a push-up. Like if I did a prop bet with you, Poker Mentor, and I said I want to do 50 pull-ups, and I did these half-ass pull-ups where I didn't even go over the bar, I went halfway up, and then I said, oh, but the Guinness Book of World Records says that's a pull-up. How would you feel about that?
Well, Bart, you have to define stuff ahead of time.
Well, they didn't, though. That's my main problem.
But if you said, so somebody posted in there about CrossFit. I didn't know about these, but I guess CrossFit pull-ups look a little bit different than what I thought a pull-up was.
Uh-huh.
So somebody said, so it could be that you go and you do that. If it's an open definition, then we have to find an authority. And I actually believe he did the push-ups because Guinness Book of Records, if they're saying that's a push-up, then it is. Even though you might not agree with that definition, that is an authority that says it is.
I mean, I'm actually going to put in the for you guys that are in the chat, I'm going to put, if it lets me put in here, a link to our forum post where you can see this guy do these push-ups where like he's almost like at an angle. I don't really care about this particular free roll bet all that much, but the point that I was trying to make here was, and I agree with you, Poker Mentor, like you have to define things ahead of time, and that's why I think prop bets are so stupid. I want to ask you a question about, and maybe Rob should like donate $100 to charity or something, which I think was the resolution, right? Whether this guy, was that the resolution? Did he do that?
No, okay, so we also have to add it, and there's a couple other facts, is that G-Man said, no, pay me. And Rob was like, I'll just donate to charity. So Rob did donate to charity, but G-Man didn't agree to that. And then Key came in and said that it should be $50. And Key said, okay, whatever, I'll take half the amount. And Rob was like, no, not going to do this. One other thing I want to say about this is that the legendary 5-time MMA champion, Tito Ortiz, said that the push-ups were legit. And there's a video on that if you go into the forums of Crush Live Poker.
Are you sure that somebody didn't pay Tito Ortiz to say that? Like, Tito Ortiz was a part of this service called Cameo where he gets paid to say anything, X amount of money?
Bart, do you think that Tito Ortiz, 5-time MMA champ, would sell his integrity for $60?
Well, I know that Brett Favre did for $500, and he got in trouble because somebody paid him, and apparently he was giving like codes for like a white supremacist lingo or something like that, but he got in trouble. But I want to move on from this and ask you, because I think you're a pretty good authority on this. This $100,000 bet with this kid Rich, and we know this Rich, right? So the bet Rich here, and this is a bet. Now, the G-Man and the Rob thing was a free roll, but the bet is that this kid has to be in a dark bathroom with no light, okay, in like a hotel room or something for 30 days. So he basically has to be in darkness for 30 days, and it's a $100,000 bet. Now, this is what I'm talking about when I would never, ever do this bet on either side. I looked at the 2+2 thread before because I knew you were calling in about this, and I wanted to see if the full $100,000 was escrowed somewhere, and I couldn't really figure it out. But there's a guy that makes a really, really good point. Forget about how crazy the bet is. It seems like the kid can't do it. It seems like from the links that I've read about darkness, it's one thing if you're confined in solitary confinement for like a month and you can't leave a room. That's one thing. I actually did a sleep study where I was in a room for 2 weeks. They paid me $5,000 when I was 22. It wasn't that hard. I had light and I had books and people were coming in and out. But this is like darkness, and apparently people go insane in pure darkness with no contact. But let me ask you this question. Somebody brought this up in the 2+2 thread. What if the guy loses, okay, and the money isn't escrowed or whatever, or even if it is escrowed, and he refuses to pay because he said that the bet would cause severe hardship to him? And the example that I'm going to use is Poker Mentor. Let's say that you and I bet you $100,000, okay? I gave you a ball peen hammer and I said, I'll bet you $100,000. I'm going to give you an hour to go into this room. And if you break both your legs and both your arms, you win the bet. If you don't, I win the bet. So you have to break both your legs and both your arms yourself, and you win $100,000. And if you don't, I win. And maybe I give you odds, right? Now, let's say you don't do it. The bet's on, it's escrowed, you don't do it. You don't think that you have a very, very strong case that you're not going to have to pay me?
Definitely. You know, when I was thinking about this is an easy one to angle.
That's what I mean.
He has his sister watching, and I think some other members of his family watching this, is that he doesn't necessarily have to quit on his own if he decides to. He can just start acting crazy, and then all they have to do is bring in like a medical doctor.
Right, exactly.
They could easily find one. The medical doctor will be like, "I'm calling this off."
Right, you can't and then he can even play it off like he wanted to stay there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Social services or
right.
Like somebody coming in, you have a medical opinion saying it's in. They kick in the door and pull him out. He starts screaming his head off like a banshee. He'll say, "Oh, I was just letting out steam. Like I was going to complete the bet, but the medical professionals forced me out of it."
And that's why this bet is, if this bet is real, like they have $100K like escrowed, it's one of the dumbest fucking bets in the world, because I can't see that kid ever paying if he loses.
No, and that's a very key part of prop bets, is making sure that there's a way that you get paid, because so many times that someone will just be like, "Oh, I'm not going to pay," because he probably just assumed he was auto going to win. Like, there's no way I'm not going to finish being in this dark room for $100K.
Right.
But when I read it, it sounded like they only escrowed $5,000.
That's what I saw too, Poker Mentor, that they only escrowed $5,000 each, which is crazy, because then the other guy can't even collect if he doesn't do it, right?
Yeah, it happens a lot. That you'll get screwed out of these little prop bets when somebody finds a way to weasel out. And that's happened to me on a few of them. and it just happens a lot.
And by the way, I do have to
to
mention, Poker Mentor, I have to mention a bet that I sort of laughed at you. You have like this relationship with DraftKings where you got to throw out a first pitch, someplace on the East Coast? Or was it a Dodgers game?
Actually, long story short, they just they're supposed to let me throw it out the Reds.
Okay, the Reds.
When I showed up at the Reds were like, "Nah, you're just
right.
here to meet the GM."
Right, but I just
like,
wanted. I thought it was funny. First of all, I thought it was unbelievable. But you said, do you want to bet me that I can? So you thought that you were going to throw out the first pitch. Maybe you wouldn't have been the only one to throw out the first pitch. Maybe they would have had a couple people. And you said, I want to prop bet you that I can throw a strike. And I immediately just. It was like the definition of these types of like prop bets that can never be enforced. You can't prop bet on something that's subjective as to what is a strike. You actually said, well, why don't we have the umpire call it? Which I was like, you nuts. Like the umpire is going to go back and call your ceremonial first pitch. If you want to prop bet at the table, the best thing for poker players to make side money to prop bet is politics betting. Because politics betting, people get emotional and they don't understand odds. So you have all these people that like bet on Trump to win the election, right? Now everybody knows anything about the odds in the polling. I'm talking about from 538.com. Trump was like a 4-1 dog. It wasn't 99% like the LA Times and the Washington Post said, but the real analytic polling by Nate Silver said that Trump was a 4-1 dog. Hillary was going to win 80% of the time, right? But these fuckers would take even odds on Trump. Now, the interesting thing about that is these guys are gamblers. Let's say that they have like a favorite NFL team, right? And Mentor, like you bet, I don't know, the Raiders against the Patriots, right? And the Patriots are 14-point favorites. You're not going to bet me on the Raiders with no point spread just because you're emotional about the Raiders and that's your team. But that goes on in politics betting all the time. So there's a real edge to be made in politics betting because people are idiots, especially if you bet people that don't really know about gambling all that much. But you can't prop bet about subjective types of things. Anyways, last word. What do you think's going to happen with this 100K thing?
Robo says he's like 11 days in. So I imagine if he's made it 11 days, he'll probably make it 30. Because I was reading on that, he should have gone insane by now.
Well, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, we haven't heard anything about. Don't they have some sort of infrared webcam in there too, or something?
Yeah, that's what Robo told me is that there's a webcam in there, and he's watching it, and then the guy who has the bets watching it, and then the guy's sister is watching it to make sure, like. And
like you said, you're really good at picking these things apart because that's I didn't think of that angle that you thought of. The guy's sister is a lawyer. And what if they just, have somebody knock on the door and say they're a doctor and say, like, we're ordering you out? Is the guy going to pay?
Yeah.
Is the guy going to pay the money?
No. No, he's free rolling.
It's a free roll, right?
He comes back, and then he just says, like, hey, I can't do it. My doctor won't let me do it. And you can't say, like, and if they call him on the phone, he can't say, oh, no, there's no way I'm going to let him out of this bet with the doctor, because then he might assume some type of liability.
Right.
By saying,
no,
the
other guy.
Yeah, if he says, no, I'm not going to go in there and let him out or something.
I just think that my analogy with the broken bow, if this is as dangerous to your mind, if sitting in darkness is as dangerous to your mind for 30 days, is what some of these mental psychologists and these people that have studied prisoners and stuff, if it is as dangerous as they say it is, then how is it any different than me betting that I want to see you break all, your legs and your arms. I'll bet you 100K you can't break your legs and your arms. And there's no way that if you didn't do that, that you couldn't get out of paying me for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it was written up, it's a harm. It's a personal harm. So yeah, I think Rich is definitely free rolling. Just last thing, everybody in the chat, Poker Mentor, says that those were weak ass push-ups. I put the link into the chat. So.
All I have to say is Tito Ortiz said they were legit. If they want to go talk to Tito, if he's willing, Tito is willing to fight Chuck Liddell again. If they want to go at it with Tito, they're welcome to.
All right. Thanks for the call, Poker Mentor. We got a PLO caller. Thank you for being. So anyways, guys, moral of that story is don't prop bet at the table unless you've got absolutes Don't bet anything subjective. I wouldn't even prop bet an arm wrestling match because there can be so many shady things that go on. People just stick to like betting sports, not being like a sports bettor. But if you're gonna bet somebody, with no vig, do that, or something with a definitive end, because people in gambling are scum. And like I said, we just broke down the fact that the guy doing this in darkness, if he doesn't do it, is he gonna pay? There's so many ways to get out of it. You know what I mean? Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA200. Click on the link right there.